Hello everyone, this is Philosopher Poet and welcome to today's video on revert stories. Today we'll take a look at a South Korean convert named Safiya Kang and review her conversion story to Islam. We will grade her reasons to convert to Islam on a scale of rationality as to how rational versus how emotional her reasons are for converting to Islam. So let's go.
Over the last decade or so, there's been a rapid increase in the number of Muslims in South Korea. Many of the new reverts in the country are quite vocal about their religion on social media.
Notice how South Korea allows reverts to Islam to be vocal about their religion on social media. Do you think an Islamic state would allow similar freedoms to non-Muslims to be vocal about their religions on social media? It's an interesting research topic. Anyway, while they tell you that Islam is rapidly rising in South Korea, they don't cite any sources or tell you precisely how rapidly it's increasing. They make it sound as if there are flocks of people converting to Islam. However, they do clarify this in another video on their channel as to the reasons of why we see this increase of Muslims in South Korea. Let's take a look at a snippet of that video.
Fast forward to the current times, Muslims in South Korea comprise around 0.4% of the entire population and can be classified into two groups, the traditional community and the immigrant community. The traditional Muslim community consists of those Korean Muslims who were born and raised in South Korea. These native Muslims are pretty active in propagation of Islam in their society as well as contributing to the social network of support for the new Muslim immigrants. On the other hand, the immigrant community, which is 2/3 of the South Korean Muslim community, comprises foreign-born Muslim migrants belonging mainly to the following regions: Middle East, Central Asia, South Asia, and Southeast Asia.
Firstly, the Muslim population of South Korea is a measly 0.4% of the total population. And by their own admission, 2/3 of the population of Muslims in Korea is because Muslims from other parts of the world are migrating to Korea. This is hardly impressive. It's not like thousands of Koreans are lining up to convert to Islam. Combine that with active proselytization of your religion, you're bound to get a good chunk of converts to Islam just like any other religion. Now compare this with the number of people turning away from religion in South Korea. According to Statistics Korea, a government body, the percentage of South Koreans identifying as having no religion rose from 47% in 2005 to 56% in 2015. This falling religiosity is especially pronounced amongst young adults. A poll the same year by Gallup Korea found 31% of South Koreans in their 20s identifying as religious, down from 46% 10 years earlier. 56% from 47% is a 9% jump in irreligiosity. The population of South Korea in 2015 was 51 million. 9% of 51 million is a whopping 4.5 million people in a decade becoming irreligious. Compare that to the 100,000 increase in Muslims during a similar period, and 2/3 of them being already Muslim immigrants. It's not even remotely close. Now that the context is set, let's get back to the original video and focus on the conversion story of Safiya Kang.
And have thousands of followers. One example is that of Safiya Kang, who embraced Islam back in January 2015. In this video, we'll be going over her amazing story. So let's begin.
Amazing story, they say, but I'm quite prepared to be underwhelmed. Well, let's keep an open mind. Maybe this will be something special.
So Safiya Kang's first interaction with Islam came when, at the end of 2008, she started working at the Korean Muslim Federation, KMF. Before that, she had never been interested in any religion, including Islam, as nearly 50% of the population of Korea is atheist.
I think they mean to say South Korea, but they probably mistakenly captioned it as North Korea.
Anyhow, Safiya soon adjusted in KMF as an employee. Since it was basically a mosque, she made many Muslim acquaintances. She began hanging out with them and soon realized that she was able to feel a peace of mind.
You know, when you start working at a place and make good acquaintances, it's not uncommon to make bonds with them and even get influenced by them, especially if they treat you nicely. As I've always maintained, Muslims are generally hospitable and nice to people. and may even be overly nice to people if they suspect that they're potential converts to Islam. But the important point here is that she felt peace of mind. Islam doesn't have a monopoly on peace of mind. There are tons of ways people find peace of mind. Peace of mind can be found with music, meditation, chanting, reading, hiking, running, and so on. The list is endless. People tend to find peace of mind in things, ideologies, or people that they align with. Here is an example of Phil Robertson, who's famous for his role in Duck Dynasty. Listen to his story.
So now I've been at this for 42. Heathen for 28. A son of God for the last 42. Trust me when I tell you, this last 42 has been way better than the first 28. The rarest of commodities has come my way. You say, what is it, Phil? What's the rarest of commodities? What is it that came your way? Peace of mind. Finally got it. You're never going to have peace of mind without Jesus Christ. Ever. It ain't going to happen.
He's definitely not a Muslim and has utter conviction that you cannot have peace without Jesus Christ. Yet, Safiya seems to have managed just fine. What does this tell you? That peace of mind is subjective. Some people find it in Jesus, some people find it in Islam, and some may just be Buddhist monks.
One she had never felt before. She felt like Islam is a true religion.
Feeling something is true doesn't make it true. There needs to be evidence for the truth of something outside of your feelings. As I just presented to you, two people can feel and have convictions about mutually exclusive belief systems.
And the Islamic doctrine, all men are equal except God.
Citation needed. This is a bizarre claim on behalf of Islam. Again, it's a shame that they don't add a reference here because that is definitely not what Islam teaches. Would that mean that Prophet Muhammad is equal to Safiya Kang? Are disbelievers equal to the believers? Besides that, statement doesn't make sense because it says that all men are equal except God. So does that mean that God is a man?
Particularly grabbed her attention. She was also greatly impressed by the way Muslims live, that they do not bother others, and that Islam does not ostracize people from other faiths.
This is beginning to sound like propaganda to present a soft, palatable image of Islam, when in reality this is directly in conflict with what Islam teaches. Let's take a look at what Quran actually teaches. In chapter 98, verse 6, Allah mentions, "Indeed, they who disbelieved among the people of the scripture, which is the Jews and the Christians, and the polytheists will be in the fire of hell, abiding eternally therein. Those are the worst of creatures." Now, if all men are equal, why are polytheists the worst of creatures? Imagine the worst creature you can imagine in the world, maybe worse than Hitler, and that person would still not be worse than a polytheist, because polytheists are the worst of creatures, simply for believing in a different God. That's how petty the Islamic God can be. Now, some people might accuse me of taking things out of context, but in what context is it okay to call polytheists the worst of creatures? You can read the entire chapter that consists of just 8 verses, and let me know if you conclude if Quran really thinks that all men are equal.
Ultimately, after 8 years of working at the KMF, Safiya was convinced that she wanted to spend the rest of her life as a Muslim.
So she worked 8 years at a mosque, and that tells me that she found people and a community that she could connect with and wanted to become a part of it. And perhaps she connected most with these people and wanted to adopt their lifestyle. I think that's okay.
So in January 2015, she said her Shahada and became a Muslim, Alhamdulillah. Proceeding forward with the story, as opposed to the cases of most reverts, Safiya's family and friends reacted relatively well to her conversion to Islam. She says that her family respected her opinion.
Now, this means that she had great parents who respected her choices, want to see her happy. Contrast this with what this famous sheikh encourages Muslim parents to do when the shoe is in the other foot, That is, when someone leaves Islam and becomes an apostate.
Brother Yaqub says, Assalamu alaikum. I have 3 questions. The first question, well, the situation is as follows. He has 3 brothers who converted to Christianity over 10 years. And they all have families and live separately. So, originally, they were Muslims. But the 3 brothers committed the act of apostasy. They rejected Islam and they embraced Christianity. So his questions are as follows. How should I and the rest of my Muslim family treat them? How would a Muslim treat a relative who committed the act of apostasy? Well, first of all, you have to show the wala and the bara. You have to declare your refusal of such an act of apostasy. And you have to hate this act of apostasy. And you have to announce your rejection to such an act. Secondly, there are no pledges of allegiance between you and that relative who committed the act of apostasy, whether he is your father, your mother, or your brother. The minute he rejects Islam in such a fashion, you have no relationship with him or any pledge of allegiance to assist him or to help him. Thirdly, if you think or believe that it is possible that he may come back and he may listen to what you say, in this case, it is permissible for you to visit him, to give him advice, even to give him gifts, so that maybe Allah Azza wa Jal would open his heart for you to accept him, or for him to accept Islam once again. It is permissible for you to help him, providing that you feel that there is a possibility for him to come back. But if you feel that he is defiant, he is fixed on not accepting Islam, it would be advisable for you to shun him, to sever all connections with him, especially if you feel that this would add value and make him feel bad about what he had done. Because my relationship with any human being is dependent on what Allah Azza wa Jal has instructed me to do. So I love my neighbors, I love my family, and I love those who are related to me because they obey Allah Azza wa Jal. And if they're not Muslims, Allah tells me to connect to my next of kin. But if they committed the act of apostasy, this is blasphemy, and this severs all connections and commitment between me and them.
There you have it. You're encouraged to disown your own child for choosing exactly what Safiya chose for herself. But if it was the other way around, I'm glad Safiya's parents are more sensible than that. You can clearly see that the Korean culture seems to be superior to the Islamic recommendations, at least based on this sheikh's interpretation.
While her friends thought it was unusual. Moving on. Adopting an Islamic lifestyle from being an atheist was, of course, quite challenging for Safiya at first. She obviously couldn't bring changes to her habits overnight. It was also difficult for her to balance her Korean identity with Islam, since Korea's culture is dominated by strong Confucian ideas.
Any kind of lifestyle change is going to come with challenges. This is not unique to converting from atheism to Islam.
If you're wondering who Confucius is, he was basically a philosopher and teacher who lived from 551 to 479 BCE and laid the foundation for much of the culture of ancient China. However, through unwavering faith in Allah, she was able to control herself and settle in as a Muslim.
There it is. You need unwavering faith not reason, to settle in as a Muslim.
Interestingly, Safiya had already experienced Ramadan with her Muslim colleagues before becoming a Muslim. She says that although it was hard for her to resist water at first, as the years went by, she felt the burden getting smaller. During her first Ramadan as a Muslim, Safiya says that she was so touched that while breaking her fast with a date, she cried.
So this is a highly emotional experience for her, but good on her for choosing something that helps her find peace, purpose, and happiness. Again, not much to do with reason or rationality.
She says that Ramadan is not just about fasting. It makes you feel at peace and happiness in your heart.
Again, peace and happiness. Just because she found peace and happiness in Islam doesn't mean everybody else finds peace and happiness in Islam. Besides, peace and happiness could be found by other means, and different people find it subjectively in different things. So, this has got nothing to do with the truth of Islam.
Due to COVID-19, Safiya felt sad because in Ramadan she couldn't have iftar and Taraweeh prayer together with her Muslim sisters. However, she understands that it's for everyone's safety.
That's nice of her.
Today, Safiya still works at the KMF and also has her own halal restaurant named Manis Kitchen.
Again, good on her. She seems like a genuinely nice person and making an honest living and doing what gives her peace and happiness without imposing on other people's will. So, kudos to her.
Where she serves Korean snacks to both Korean Muslims and Muslim travelers.
I hope she serves it to non-Muslims too. I'm sure she does.
She lives near Seoul Central Masjid, so it is much easier for her to live an Islamic life than other Muslims in Korea. There are many Muslims living in that area, so it's convenient for her to find halal food as well. As part of religious minority in Korea, Safiya has received plenty of questions about extremism and hijab. Whenever she hears these misunderstandings,
it's interesting that the narrator labels these questions as misunderstandings. Someone could have legitimate questions and concerns about Islam, given how draconian the Sharia law could be.
She tries to explain the real Islamic teachings to the concerned party. As a social media influencer, she has nearly 50,000 followers on Instagram, where she posts photos and videos of Islamic food, fashion, and cultural events. She says that her social media endeavors have helped bridge the gap between Korean and Muslim cultures in a more effective way. Safiya says that becoming a Muslim feels like being born again.
Born again is a phrase used in Christianity for people who have a spiritual rebirth. I mean, this is a Christian term and many Christians feel the same way. So again, there's nothing unique to Islam. This is again personal feelings and personal experiences.
To all the Muslim brothers and sisters out there, she has a message. She says that although the coronavirus has worn us out, Allah Ta'ala will show us His mercy to stabilize our lives soon, inshallah.
Couldn't Allah have shown us His mercy by not giving us the coronavirus in the first place? How is it mercy when He first gives you the disease and then helps it go away, knowing full well how much suffering it would cause? Now, you may argue that this is a test of faith for Muslims, but that's a conversation for another time. Overall, this conversion was based on emotional appeal and personal experience of peace in mind. This is far too common in all types of conversions. Safiya seems to have gelled well with people at the mosque where she worked. It gave her peace of mind, and she feels happy being a Muslim. So on a scale of rationality from 1 to 10, I'd give her 2. Leaning towards emotional reasons for her conversions. I suppose it's somewhat rational to be peaceful and happy in life, but that's no reason to accept the truth of any ideology. That's all, folks. If you liked my content, please subscribe and share my message. Until next time.